Hi again, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus, and I'm back one more time. I keep coming back to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm coming back frequently. The reason that I do that is because I'm listening to another voice. I'm listening to the voice of the spirit of love, the voice of spirit of life. And as that information comes to me, I don't know what's going to happen to me, the next moment from now. So if I got the opportunity and I got the occasion where I might be able to share that information with you, I do it. And then if I'm not around, the information is here. You so they say Jesus was here, never wrote one word. Hey Jesus, because a lot of folks talking for you. Anyway, I'm thinking about what's going on out here, and still trying to figure out if I'm going to be able to pick up something that will be able to make it clear to me, so I could make it clear to you. But as I'm reflecting back on an earlier time, I remember um, let's say in the 80s or 90s, when I had made up my mind, made a decision that I was going to glorify God and God's way of life the best I could when it came down to order, when it came down to government, when it came down to systems of operation for people. I was going to advocate that. And I felt so excited because for some strange reason, I said I'm a social scientist, but more than that, I recognized something from being a child. I recognized that somehow I got a chance to know what love is. I live by love. Had it not been for love, I would not be before you today. I indicated that my mother was a kid. My great great grandparents had the love there for me. And every obstacle of life that I found myself in, God had provided for something right there to see me through. And I'm telling you, some of it were miracles. That being the case, I have no problem talking about God when we talk about our problems. And I look at all the stuff around me, I can see what the problems are, I can see what causes them. I got no problem knowing that there's a better way. I got no problem telling you about it. So when back in those years when I was running for president of the United States, running for governor of the state of Minnesota, running for a United States senator from the state of Minnesota, or running for mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota, Woodbury, Minnesota, I was doing those things because I was so excited about a change in life. I was so excited that things were going to be different. I was so excited that people weren't going to have to be mad. They weren't going to have to be hateful and envious. They weren't going to have to be fighting and angry at one another. I did not believe that people could not accept someone's articulation of God's plan in such a way that I had been given it. It talked about you, the people, having a purpose in life and knowing what it is, choosing what it is, a love, and that you are connected with such a joy from it that all of your needs, wants, and desires are being met. You ain't got to suffer for nothing. Your needs, I'm telling you, you get a chance to live your dreams. I'm thinking, what human being, as far as I know, what human being wouldn't want that to happen? To me, it seems, based upon the conversations I've heard, that when people are talking about really living, this is what they call really living. Now, sometimes we recognize that most of them decided that they don't know whether they'll make it to this really living stage, so they just jump on the bandwagon. But anyway, having run for president, and I'm sitting out there trying to let you, the people, know, because I said I couldn't believe that you would want something else. You've been living as long as I had, most of you. So you knew just as much as I knew, I thought. Anyway, so I would run for president and I'd reach out there, tell the people would ignore me. I guess I really wasn't trying to organize. One time I ran against Norm Coleman or something as a mayoral candidate in St. Paul. And I was running as a Democrat at that time. That was my introduction into that involvement. But after then, I didn't try to pursue any particular party. I was selling truth. I was selling change. And so my speaking was to see if anybody wanted it. So if you wanted what I'm talking about under running for president, then you saw me as an independent or anything else that was independent. But I wasn't begging you for money. I was giving you information so you could take the information and do what you wanted with it. And each time I did that, I ended up running as a write-in. Now, when you see a write-in, that means nobody knows you. Nobody really cares about you, but a few people might, and that might give you some change to pay for some little local radio stuff, a little nod here, there in this paper, or drop some flyers out. That's what that little token is for. But hey, I had no shame in my game. Why? Because I don't care if you were a Republican. I don't care if you were a Democrat. I don't care if you were an independent. Your program for America couldn't touch the one I had. Yeah, I laughed at it. Why? Because that was junk you guys talking about. Republicans, that was pure D junk. That stuff George Bush was talking about, pure D junk. That stuff even Bill Clinton was talking about, pure D junk. I even saw the stuff that Barack Obama was talking about was pure D junk, because it didn't make sure that nobody have to worry about food. It didn't make sure that everybody didn't have to worry about housing. It didn't guarantee that everybody would have education. It didn't guarantee these things. So what you gonna be? I'm not gonna jump on a bandwagon like that. So I stayed off. Why? Because I advocated for something else. And things went right on by me. Left me standing out there proud by the things I stood for. But I had nothing but me. I had nothing but me, my desire, and my character, and my want. I don't have nothing else. Nobody stood with me. Nobody. I've been standing alone ever since I've been out there except God. Now I do. I got to give some credit. God connected me with a woman, my wife. I don't think a woman could be any nicer than my wife. And she has provided for me all through these 40 years while I've been out here talking about God, talking about a different world for all of us. She stood by my side. But for 40 years, I want you to know that 40 years will break anybody's back. Now, has it broken hers? I don't know if it's broken hers or not. But I'm telling you, me walking out here for 40 years out here in America, seeing all this and stuff going over and over and over again and nothing changing, hey, it's breaking my back. So I'm sure it's breaking her back. And breaking our back is not going to do anything unless we get up and do something about it. Now, I don't know what she's doing, but I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm telling you, you guys ought to be ashamed of yourselves. When I'm sitting back in the churches, back in the 80s and 90s, and I've told all of you that I wanted to be president, and all of you ignore me. And I'm sitting at preachers out there talking about God and talking about Jesus and talking about how wonderful he is and is in you and how great you are. I'm listening to all that kind of stuff. When the message has been thrown out there, say, if you want this, plant the seeds. Here they are. And I've watched everything you've done. But I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, how could you reject God like this? And I know it was God. Because there ain't no way that everybody could care about everybody. That got to be God. You talk about everybody eating, that got to be God. Ain't no human being gonna say that. Talk about everybody got education, that got to be God. Everybody got a house where they can live, that's got to be God. Everybody happy, that got to be God. And so when I come to you and talking about that stuff, you know I'm telling you what I'm saying, it got to be God. But that's what I'm telling you, because I know you ain't doing it. So I'm sitting there in the church and I'm wondering, how in the world could you guys reject this? And then a few years later, I see you got a guy that stands for everything different than what I was hearing you. A crook, a low down, dirty crook, don't give a stink about you. And you done fell in love with him. Every move he makes, every time he pass gas, you got a microphone right there. You got a camera right there catching everything in for 9 years. That's all we heard. And now that same old thing that you've had pushed down on you now is out there grabbing you with guys, with guns, throwing you out in the street, knocking your teeth out, breaking your arms, crashing your vehicles, going into your buildings, disrespecting you like you are nothing, just like those kids or those people back when we were little boys, watching TV, watching the war zone. We watching that stuff on TV, and we seen in Germany, we seen in other places of the world where people act like they had no compassion for others. They act like they was the scum of the earth. And now you turn the TV on, and in America, you see people acting like the scum of the earth. And nobody's doing anything. They're talking about it, but can't do nothing about it. Ain't but one darn thing you can do about it. You either go with it or stand up for God. Otherwise, shut up. I just thought I'd take a moment, ladies and gentlemen, tell you just like it is. Now, I want you to have a good night. I'm going to go ahead on and see if I can have one. Till next time, Eddie Marcus say goodbye for now.